Hello, my shady babies. Today I'm going to do my very first story time whilst I do the laundry. Because, procrastination, all that kind of stuff. So, basically, I want to tell you a story, one of my very favorite stories about how I got fired in the most interesting ways as a teenager. When I was a teenager, I worked at, like, 2 fast food jobs. And also I worked at Kmart and other places. But the funny ones are Kmart, Taco Bell, and McDonald's. So my very first job was at Kmart. And when I worked at Kmart, I really liked it. It was my very first job. They had me in front and checkout, which wasn't bad. Then they decided we're going to move her over to ladies fashion, which is a nightmare. I don't know if any of you guys have ever shopped at Kmart before. I don't even know if Kmart's a thing anymore. But ladies fashion, or the clothing sections, are a nightmare pretty much. So there were some really mean ass old ladies who worked in ladies fashion, and they really hated teenagers. And of course I get it, teenagers can be obnoxious and lazy. But I never acted disrespectful to them until they started acting crazy to me. So it kind of got annoying. So I was already kind of disenchanted about working in ladies wear. So they were trying to get me to work in jewelry, which I really shouldn't. Who lets a 16-year-old be in charge of diamonds? I don't know. So they started doing me more in jewelry as opposed to being in ladies wear, just because whatever reason, I don't know. I guess they thought it was a good idea to trust a 16-year-old with a bunch of diamonds and stuff. Not that Kmart's diamonds are the stuff. It's not it's this, that kind of stuff, but it's still diamonds, So anyway, I'm trying to get my train of thought here. So I wasn't happy with it. At one point or the other, my boyfriend at the time, we're gonna call him, I don't know, let's call him Inuyasha. So me and Inuyasha worked at Kmart together. And that just showed my geekiness, didn't it? So we worked there, and Inuyasha was a very laid-back kind of person. He didn't really start trouble with people, but he had a very bad temper once he did lose it. So there was a particular girl there that decided that she didn't like Inuyasha, and she was gonna, talk smack about him. I guess she didn't realize that me and him were dating, so she decided she would say things in front of me. So we got in this really big argument. To the point where customers could hear us and everything yelling. So how we didn't all get fired from that, I don't know. Management wasn't back there though, so it was just a bunch of 16-year-olds back there in the break room, and because it's kind of you had to go through menswear, and then you had to go to a break room, and then that's kind of where their HR is. Well, HR doesn't work on weekends there. Their staff is completely skeleton crew when it comes to management. Management never worked weekends, at least when I worked there when I was a kid. So anyway, we get into this heated argument, and I had to get pulled apart by these guys. So I mean, I know nowadays guys are a cat fight, but when I was a kid, people pulled people apart. But anyway, so long story short, her and her mom got him fired. I don't know if I would have been there, I would have been fired too. I don't know. So I kind of got disenchanted about working at Kmart, just because for one, it was getting irritating because they were working me till 10 o'clock at night. And then on the weekends and stuff like that. And my mom is very religious, and we had to go to church. So I never had time to have a life. And then Wednesday nights I had to go to youth group, and I was missing everything fun. So I was kind of irritated with that too. They were working me legit to the top of what a 16-year-old could work. I would say that I probably worked 30 hours a week, which I don't even know if that was even legal, but I worked quite a bit. So I was kind of missing everything. I was in orchestra and stuff like that. And a lot of people in my orchestra in high school were all working at McDonald's, and they all acted like McDonald's was just a great place to work at. And, you don't have to deal with, this, that, and the other. So I decided that I was going to quit Kmart and work at McDonald's. So I went up to management Kmart and gave them my week's notice. But it was right before Christmas too. It was probably a couple weeks before Christmas. So I gave my notice, and these little old ladies, these evil old ladies who are probably dead now and probably looking up at me right now, and I did just say looking up at me, giving me dirty looks still, are probably dead now. So I don't know why why we're even rehashing this, but So this little old lady, I still remember her because she had bright orangey, brassy red hair, and she used to draw her eyebrows on like straight lines, like it looked like that. And anyway, so her favorite thing to do is when I would clean up something to go behind me and undo it and say, tell me to do it again. So I was cleaning up their purse section. At the time, Kmart's purse section was like just shelves that you just put the purses onto. So if you ever been to Kmart or worked there, like they don't have like a really good organizational, so you can only do the best you can do. Because like one purse, they might have 3 of them, and the other purse, they might have 50. So I did my best to kind of organize them and make them look neat, and they're not like, so she decided this was not good enough, so she was going to knock them all on the floor, like knock them in the floor. Like took her arm and just like, shh, like all of them in the floor. So I'm like looking at her, like I have like 2 or 3 days left of my like notice, and I straight up just like, nope. I looked at her, I'm like, have fun with that, and I left. So skip forward, like, cause like I had like a week, like I gave myself a week buffer, cause you know I'm a teenager and I, you know, don't really need the money, so I didn't have to work for a whole week. So Inuyasha also worked at McDonald's too. He worked at a different McDonald's closer to his house, and I worked at a McDonald's closer to high school. So we also have to mention that Inuyasha was also like, he used to get in trouble a lot. I don't really want to go into like what he got in trouble for, but he used to get in trouble a lot. So that particular McDonald's was more like ghetto, and like they had people selling drugs there, and there was a big scandal with counterfeiting. It was not a great McDonald's. It was a ghetto McDonald's in a ghetto area, because that's where he lived. And I worked at the McDonald's that were like within walking distance of like my high school. So he would like walk me to McDonald's every day. So anyway, I worked at McDonald's, and I really didn't like it. Like, it was just, it all started, the first thing that happened is they had a security guard there who was a freaking police officer. You know, I don't know if they still do that, but some police officers would work at fast food restaurants to make extra money, like do security or whatever. This guy was a freaking perv. Like, he would like talk really dirty to us and nasty and ask us nasty questions, you know, just stuff that you would not ask, you know. At the time, we had people who were working there 15 and 16, because McDonald's hired 15 and 16-year-olds. And I believe one girl was like 14. I don't remember. She was pregnant. Like, she was really pregnant. She went to my high school. And I know that she was really young. And he was just being really disgusting. And like, going through the things that I did as a child, I did not tolerate a lot of behavior. And also my parents were foster parents, and they always told us, like, if somebody was being inappropriate, you know, tell them. So told my parents, told my mom, and mom, like, told me I needed to tell management, which I did. And everybody there, like, because he had been working there for a while, it's one of those things, like, everybody knew that he did, but nobody ever did anything about it. Because I threw such a big fit about it, like, he got fired. It's because it was getting gross. Like, everybody was like, all the girls didn't like it, and like, the adults that were working there thought it was funny. Like, oh, he's just a big purr. Like, he's preying on, like, the teenagers. So that was the first thing that happened. So because of that, like, some of the management decided they wanted to give a little attitude to the girls who basically gave their statements to the police about it. So, like, there was a particular girl that worked there, and I don't remember her name, so we're going to call her Katie. So Katie worked there, and Katie was known for being kind of lazy. So she was one of the managers, but her favorite thing to do, and all the other managers would talk about her too, is like, she would sit and pretend like she was doing the schedule, but she'd be sitting. Like, there was like this, if you go outside, like if you walk around the counter, there was like a trash can there and like a lower like shelf thing. She would sit on there and just sit there and pretend like she was doing stuff. So that particular day that the incident happened, I actually was working, what was I doing that day? Was I in drive-thru? No, I wasn't in drive-thru. I was like in front, like the front counter, and it was a weekend, and it wasn't like a horribly busy weekend. So I want to think it's probably like a Friday, like, but nobody showed up for that shift. Like, hardly anybody was there. They were like running on an absolute skeleton crew, like really stressful. So she decided that she was going to try to make me do stuff that I didn't know how to do. I had not been there very long. I'd probably only been there for like a few weeks. So there was like, McDonald's used to have these big, huge, like hot water things where they used to like have bun water in it, and you had to fill them up. Like, they didn't automatically fill themselves up. You had to fill them up and then like tear them down at the end of the night. But you had to know how to get the hot water out first, which I did not know how to do. And it clearly had a sign on it saying if you can't use it if you're not over 18 because of the hot water. So she was like, you need to break down the coffee thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. She's like, we'll figure it out. And I was like, kind of like, I said, excuse me? She's like, you need to figure it out. And I said, well, I don't know how to do it, and I'm not going to get burned. She goes, if you have one more word to say, then you can just go home. I said, word? I literally told this lady word, because I was like, no, you are not going to talk to me like that. This is McDonald's. I do not need this job. So she like kind of looked at me and she goes, well, you can just go home then. I was like, okay. So I'm like walking, I go walk back and I grab my purse and I grab my coat because it's wintertime. I call my mom because I didn't have a cell phone. So I call mom to come get me. And she's like, I didn't know at that point if I was fired or what. I did not care. So I'm walking out and she was all like, well, you need to leave your hat here and stuff because you're not going to have a job here anymore. So I'm like, whatever. So I like flip it off my head. Well, it flips off my head and it falls in the vat. Like, I legitimately didn't even intend that to happen. But this is a plastic polyester hat going into it like caught on fire. And I didn't even turn, I just kind of glanced and just kept going. So the management called me like the next day, or was it Monday? I think it was Monday because they, again, weren't there on the weekends. So she's like asking me like what exactly happened and all this kind of stuff. And then like my dad was like kind of like trying to get the bottom of it too, because like the girl was like cussing at me and acting crazy. And like I said, my parents were very religious, so they did not play that. So I worked there. So that's how I got fired from McDonald's / quit. I'm not sure if I quit or got fired. I don't care. It was McDonald's. So the next place that I worked at was Taco Bell. Taco Bell was a nightmare. So the first thing you have to know about Taco Bell is how they keep all of their food hot. It's these big giant, like the table that all the food is in is boiling water. So I'm a very hot-natured person. And also during this time, because I took a kind of a hiatus between working at McDonald's and working again. So I kind of felt pressure, like from my mom and stuff, to work, even though I didn't want to. I don't know if she was intentional. I don't know what the problem. I was also going through a lot of depression at this time because a really good friend of mine in high school actually committed suicide. So I was very depressed, and my mom has this saying, idle mind's devil's workshop. You got to work. So I decided, okay, I'm going to work at Taco Bell. I hated Taco Bell. I hated everything about this place. The management was and I love the gays, but he was a mean gay. He was a straight up mean gay. Like, he talked about people. He was catty. He was just really mean and just, I don't want to explain it. Like, ugh. But in the sense of like, did I hate him because he was gay? No, I didn't. I hate him because just his personality and attitude was crappy. So he started after me and became a manager and just was like nasty. And he was weird. Like, he would spend the night there overnight and then like open the store up the next day. And it was just like it was insane. So anyway, so basically at one point or the other, I decided I don't want to work here anymore. Like, I hate it here. And I knew that if I quit, my parents would kind of be mad at me because they didn't want me just to quit a job. Even though, like, I was 17. I don't know why they even cared. I was 16 or 17. I can't remember. I would say it's probably like 17. It was Taco Bell. But it was very clear that they didn't want me just to quit. So I, like, said, I wonder what I could do to get fired from here. So I did nothing. Like, I was so lazy. Like, I called in all the time, left early all the time. Like, they told me to clean the bathroom, so I would just go in the bathroom and read a book. I never, ever cleaned the bathroom. Ever. So, to this day, I will not use bathrooms because I'm like, I never cleaned it, so I can't imagine these other kids do it, so I never cleaned the bathroom. Like, I was never, I would take my breaks forever. I just hated it. I hated it so much. So, what happened at one point or the other, I was working with one of the managers for morning because I worked morning shifts a lot. I think I had turned 18 while I was working there. So I was old enough to work early morning shifts. So I worked an early morning shift and I noticed the manager there was like putting money in his pocket. And he kind of looked at me and I kind of looked at him like I see you. So this went on like, so I'm thinking maybe because of that, he didn't fire me right off. So flash forward, they get a new manager. So, okay, so a customer, this is where it gets funny. So I'm grouchy. I'm not in a very good mood. I'm on my period. I'm crampy. It's hot. It's July. It's probably like 90 degrees behind the counter. I get very grouchy when I'm hot. I do not like being hot. So I'm like behind the counter, like just sweating. The customer, so they have me on front end checkout, which I never do. Like I rarely ever use the actual register. Hardly ever. I did mostly like cleaning up the front lobby or doing food prep. I never used that thing. So I wasn't really great at it. So there's a lady, she ordered a bunch of like burritos with extra cheese. I know she didn't say extra cheese because she didn't get charged for it. And even the lady's like, you never said extra cheese. So my manager, the gay guy, who was like the shift manager, came up and like was, you know, I'm sorry, you know, we didn't get you the extra cheese. You know, we didn't charge you for it. Would you like us to charge you for it? For the extra cheese, and then we'll be happy to make it that way. And she's just running her mouth, you know, being homophobic to him, and just being like a bitch. Don't want to say that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? She being a little bee, you know. So she just being horrible, and so she just like takes her burrito and just psh, like that with the bag, and the bag hits me. I'm just like, no, this lady did not just throw her burrito at me. No, she did not. No, she did not. So I'm just thinking in my head, like, so she's like, she's looking at me, she's like, what are you gonna do? So I look up at her and I'm just like, I pick up the burrito, and at this point it's like disheveled just from where they had been opening it and stuff. I picked it up and I threw it in her face. So this burrito hits this ugly lady right in her face. Like the beans are like everywhere on her. And she's like, are you gonna, like, because the guy that the shift manager that was there, like, that she'd been homophobic to, like, she's like, are you gonna do something about that? Blah, blah. He's like, what are you talking about? I didn't see anything. So, he didn't even, like, acted like he saw nothing, which I know he saw me, because he looked right at me like, I cannot believe you just did that. So the lady leaves, like, he's like, you know what? He goes, ma'am, I'm gonna give you a refund. It looks like, you know, there's nothing we can do for you today. You're just, you know, basically getting on her face. So he gave her a refund. She left. And he was like, I'm over it, you know, just because she's just being a horrible little lady. She is being that thing that rhymes with itch. So she leaves. So he never, like, said anything to me. But other people who worked there was a lady there that, like, worked there forever. Like, and I know that she didn't mean, like, anything harm because she's a special needs lady, but she snitched on me. Long story short, that is how I got fired from Taco Bell, is I threw a burrito at a customer. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this story time. I know that this went over a little bit longer than usual, but it was really funny and I had to tell you guys. So hopefully, you know, some of my people here who are teenagers, do not throw burritos at customers. They don't tend to like it. I love you and thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and be one of my shady babies. And don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps a lot. And of course, hit the little bell right over here. That way you know when I'm coming and calling. I love you. Bye.